Hey, so you'll remember a few weeks ago I made a video recommending this book. Well, I'm going to take things one step further than that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start creating a new video series in which I teach the contents of this book unit by unit. If that interests you, then join me in this week's video. I'm going to tackle unit 1, which is the present continuous tense. Let's do this. Hello people, happy Sunday. Yes, so as I said in the little introduction, we are going to be tackling the present continuous tense. Now, when do I use the present continuous tense? Well, there are a few uses, but the main one is to describe an action which is ongoing and hasn't finished yet. And to structure this sentence, we're going to need three things. So first of all, we need the nominative pronoun or the subject, which in this case is going to be I, he, she, we, you, they, or it. Then we need the verb to be, the auxiliary verb to be, and we also need the actual verb of the action with ing on the end. So I suppose the best place to start here is how to conjugate the verb to be in this instance, which is the auxiliary verb. So obviously, when I'm talking about me, if I'm saying I am doing something, the verb to be is am. So it's I am. He, she, it, the verb to be becomes is. She is doing this. He is doing that. It is getting warmer. And then for we, as in me and somebody else, we, you, or they, the verb to be becomes are. We are thinking about moving house. We are eating our dinner. You are listening to me waffle on right now on this video. So once you have the beginning part of the sentence all down and you know what you're going to say, so either I am, he is, she is, then what we need to do is we need to add ing onto the end of the infinitive form of the verb, which is describing the action. So, for example, the verb work would become working. The verb scratch, to scratch, I'm scratching, that would become scratching. But it's not quite as straightforward as that because there are certain verbs which have slightly different rules. So if the verb ends in an E, if the verb ends with E, then we need to drop the E before adding the ing. So two examples of that would be the verb to make. Make becomes making. And you can see that I've dropped the E in that example. Another verb that would follow this, that ends in E, would be bake. So bake, as you can see, becomes baking without the E. Okay, so now we've got that out of the way. The next little rule change is, are you ready for this? When a verb has one syllable, ends in a consonant, which is preceded by a vowel, then we double the end consonant. So there are some things that I need to break down for you there. So one syllable, for example, is run, one syllable. The word running would be two syllables, run-ing. So if it has one syllable, like run, it ends in a consonant. Now, a consonant is basically a letter of the alphabet. So they're consonant and vowels. Now, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. They are the vowels. Any other letter of the alphabet we would call a consonant. So, if we have a verb like run, which has one syllable, run, it ends in a consonant, N. It has a vowel before the consonant, U. Then we double the end consonant. So in this example, the word run would become running with a double N. Hope you follow that. Oh, and by the way, that rule doesn't apply all the time. It's just a general rule. Nothing simple. Okie dokie. So now we've got the sentence structure out of the way. Remember, you need your nominative pronoun, followed by the auxiliary verb to be, followed by the action verb with ing on the end. So the first use of this present continuous tense is to describe an action which is ongoing and has not finished yet. So, for example, let's take the verb to wave. I am waving at you. I am scratching my head. I am stretching out my arms. He is waving at me. They are scratching their heads. We are stretching out our arms. Okay, another way we use the present continuous tense is to describe things that are happening or are going to happen around this time now. So to give you examples, sometimes we'll use the present continuous with today, this week, or this year, or next week, or something like that. So to give you a couple of examples of how we would use this in a sentence structure, I could ask you a question like, are you cycling to work today? So it's not an action that is happening right now, but it's an action that is going to happen around now. And we use the present continuous tense for this as well. Another example of a sentence that would meet this criteria is, my friend is going to France next week. So he's not in the action of going to France right now, but he's going to France around this period. So my friend is going to France next week. And the third way I'd like to explain to you today is explained in the book, English Grammar in Use, is another use of the present continuous tense, which is to describe changes that are happening now. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's a list of verbs which you are most likely to hear in this kind of sentence, and they are as follows: get, change, become, increase, rise, fall, grow, improve, begin, and start. All of them verbs can be used in the present continuous tense to describe changes that are happening right now. So for example, let's take the verb to get and let's give you an example. Your English is getting better. So it's a change that is occurring now, and we use the present continuous format to describe it. Your English is getting better. Another way I could use that is if I'm holding my arm up like this. After a while I could say, my arm is starting to hurt. My arm is starting to hurt. And that is the present continuous tense. And last but not least, the last example, I am beginning to enjoy my new job. So it is a change that is happening. I am beginning to enjoy my new job. And we use the present continuous tense to describe changes that are happening right now. Okay people, that's it for this week's video. I hope you found it useful. Please stay tuned to this video series because I'm going to be breaking down all of the units within this book and trying to teach them to you. So if you don't have a copy of it, then you can still get the gist of what is in each of the units because I'm going to be explaining it for you. I don't use the exact examples or the exact words that this book uses, but what I do is I look at the unit and then I teach it to you in my own way. Let's do this. See you in the next video. Bye bye people.